Welcome back. It's RGR Live as we get ready to go through your questions and answers and how this team starts to get stronger in some of the places they're already strong. This is going to be a fun Q&A session. Welcome tonight. This is RGR Football. Welcome back, folks. Glad that you're here. It's Monday night, so we're going to do our thing. Have the headphones on because Dan's going to join us here a little bit later as he does his thing. So, hey, that's the way that it goes. We're going to have plenty to talk about, and I know that you guys are going to have a ton of questions. We will definitely get into them. In fact, now as I load up the chat, I do see that there are some in there already. So I've got the first one here. Muhammad will get the first question here in a second. And if you asked one before, if you would please just circle back. For all of you that are new to this process, we do this every Monday night here on the channel. Me and Dan, sometimes Dino, you never know who's going to show up, right? But I'll be here every Monday night. We'll answer your questions. In order to find those questions, it helps me a ton if you put them at the beginning of your sentence, of your first question sentence. That always helps, and it helps me pick them out of the chat. There's a ton of chats, so that really, really is a plus for me. Now, that said, if you want to support the channel, and they do pop out a little bit easier, I have to admit, you can always super chat or super sticker us. We do see those, and we make a pledge that if you ask a question in this forum tonight as a super chat, you will definitely get an answer. And I just want to make sure that if you choose to help us out, we appreciate it. But please ask something so I can give you something for it. There's all kinds of different angles to take on all these different topics that we're going to get into. So you might as well just let me know exactly what you want to know. Now, that said, I set up the thumbnail. Oh, also, any support you want to give through the store, that always helps as well. It's another great one, and I have a couple new things coming. One that I put off because of the Super Bowl collapse. Something that I had planned that was actually pretty cool, but we're going to get to that. It'll probably be a summer thing now. We'll see, depending on how the draft goes, but I think you guys will dig it. I built the thumbnail the way that I did because it's kind of a theme that I'm leading into, and I've shot tomorrow's video. You guys will get that tomorrow afternoon. The first take on how they move forward in a specific aspect that I think is going to be pretty pertinent. But overall, if you heard what I did last week, or if you heard the Locked On Chiefs podcast last week, you heard all about the contracts and the things and the rigmarole about how they have to go through to get these things done. It's all starting to break loose now. You saw an extension for Cam Hayward in Pittsburgh. You saw the Eagles make some decisions on some wide receivers. Like, it's all starting to come together. Now, they got a couple of weeks yet, but the Chiefs are going to have to be making a lot of these moves too. I think a couple of things are probably higher on their plate right now than the restructures, but the restructure/extension game, I think, is going to be big for this particular offseason. I hope that they can get some of those done. We're going to have to see about the tackles and the edge rushers and those kind of things. So that's coming. That said, the two guys that I think they have to try and emphasize, and that is with more support from the corner spot, but also the third safety has to be shored up. I don't know what they plan to do with Dan Sorensen. I've heard a little bit both ways. Like, they'd like to have him back. It depends on the contract. Is there going to be a market for him? There's a lot that goes into Dan's thing. I think Dan would like to be back. So if you could keep the trio together, I think that's what they prefer to do. I do freely admit that Dan played better deep than he had previously this last season. He didn't have as many splash plays, right? He still had some, but not as many as 19. He's 31 years old now. I think he's going to be older by the time the next season finishes up. So it's catching up a little bit. But supporting Tyrann Mathieu and Juan Thornhill together, I think, is going to be an aspect that they have to keep an eye on in order to start making the defense more big play capable. And I think that's one thing that they really have to get there on. If you're going to continue to play what I think their philosophy is going to be, is allow people to run on them, they have to be able to make up for that with turnovers and big plays. So it's going to be a focus. So that's how I set up the chat, and I wanted to get that out there. That's what I've been thinking of. And members, I'll have a video for you tomorrow, kind of my take and a little bit of just, plain talk about a couple of things that I'm not ready to really put out there publicly, because I'm not here to run down any particular players or say that they need to be replaced or anything like that. That's not my public forum. I'll give the members a little inside taste of what I think on a couple of things, and we'll see how they shake out before I comment. That said, a lot of old hands are already in here, and Gary and Norman and Cole's here. Our fearless moderator, Aaron Morrow, is here. Everybody give him a hand and give him some love in the chat too, will you? Those of you that are members, you can use those emojis and all that kind of stuff, and we'll continue that now. So if we do a member video this week, we'll do a stream or a Zoom the week after, and that's kind of the way we're going to go about it over the off season. So they get something every week, and it'll just kind of change what it is. And go from there. So back to when I came into the chat, Muhammad was the first one with the question. So we're going to start with him. And let's see, what are we talking about? Which positions do you think that Veech values the most within the first 100 picks? I will tell you this. Veech is not out of the realm of anything that I think is the commonality of a lot of particularly guys that are older school GMs. There's 4 elite positions that you have to have. Quarterback obviously is taken care of for this roster. Edge rusher. I think as much as the fan base may be frustrated with Frank Clark, I don't think that the team is. I think that they feel pretty good about that. Now they have to supplement. Mike Dana is not a problem. I thought he had a great rookie year, but you're losing Okafor. You're losing Tano Passanio. I don't think either of them return. And I think it would be wise to bring back Taco Charlton, but he's not an every down player. Do Dana and he make, combine to make a first and second down player with a designated pass rusher? Sure. I like that concept. You still need depth. So there is more that has to be done there. So pass rusher edge is the next of them. Then comes tackle, and used to be left tackle. Now it's tackle, period. And unfortunately, the Chiefs have a need there as well. I do expect, and Danilo and I had a conversation about this yesterday or today, I can't even remember, about what the expected return is. And in my coaching career, I've coached a number of guys through an Achilles rupture and return, and it's always harder for linemen. It's always longer for linemen. So I'm just going off of my experience. And so I don't think Eric Fisher will be ready to play before midseason at the very earliest. Week 8 is my deadline in there. It may take longer. You don't know. So you clearly need to either elevate somebody that's there, Durant, Rankin, and you have Niang, which I still feel is a question mark, but probably not for the team. They probably know how they feel about where his development is. So you have needed end, you have needed tackle, at least one, and maybe you need to fill out your depth too. It depends on where you feel Schwartz is. So that's going to be significant. And then it comes to cornerback. Finding Snead allows you to be okay if Bashad Breeland walks. And if he gets a contract somewhere else that's more than you're willing to pay him. Because I think it would have to be a pretty low contract, maybe even lower than it was this season for Bashad to return on a 1 year or something like that, which I would actually like to see. But here's the thing. The whole division, and I'm going to talk about this some tomorrow, the whole division's getting faster. The whole league's getting faster. Bashad's one weakness, I feel, is speed. So look for a speed option out there as well to go along with Snead and Ward, who will be a restricted rights free agent and will most likely be back. Those guys have enough speed. And now Baker and Fenton have functional speed. They're not blazers like that they can lock down somebody. So I think they do need to supplement with a little bit more speed, just flat out straight line stuff. That said, looks like I missed a super chat from Gooch because I always do. Got a super chat because Matt's here. Well, I'm glad Matt's here. Welcome. And thank you, Gooch, as always. And then second question is Cole's. So to finish that thought, Muhammad, I'm sorry. So of those 4 positions, I think that's what Veech will value. And then he values, I think, nasty, something that is elevated above a position. Will he go guard in the top 100? Yes, if that fits. Will he go safety? Obviously, he did with Juan Thornhill. I think dynamic playmakers on either side of the ball is what Veech will look for, whether it's a wide receiver or another corner or an edge rusher. I don't know. We've seen, and this is the problem. Man, we're going to get into this a little bit later, I'm sure. We've seen Veech go outside of the big 4 positions. That's certainly fine. We've also seen him go away from best player available too. So you got to keep that in mind. Brett Veech is not a best player available guy. That's not the way his drafts go. But Cole asks, we'll get back to that later, I'm sure, Muhammad. Not necessarily in 21, but do you think that Andy will address the pass rush in the first round of any draft as Chiefs head coach? I think it's possible. I think it will. For Andy to go pass rusher first, it would have to be not only a need, but probably a glaring need, and one that doesn't have a need at any of the other three top positions. And quite frankly, I think it would take Veech or Borgonzi or somebody that he trusts to bring him something that says, hey, we really need to do this. This guy is this good. I think that could possibly happen, but you never know. And I completely forgot. Tonight's refreshment is a double IPA from Odell. It's called Solarized. It's got a little yuzu in it. For those of you that enjoy Japanese food, I think that might be interesting. So we're going to give it a shot, see how it goes. But your question, Cole, is interesting because it's not something that I think that Andy particularly wants to go for, but he's also, I think as he's gone through his progression in Kansas City, he's gotten better about allowing the class to speak to him rather than him searching for something in the class. And I think that has to do with Brett Veech doing his job and the whole front office doing theirs. So I give them credit for that. And I think that that's a big plus. Let's see. Patch, how are you? Thoughts on wide receiver talent to bring in? Jeffries and Jackson could both come in cheaper than Watkins alone. Yes, and I don't think either of them can produce. There's a reason that the Eagles are letting go of their two highest profile wide receivers, if nothing, for a second-year quarterback that they need weapons for. I don't think either of those guys are options, to tell you the truth. Jackson certainly I don't think can stay healthy, and Jeffries, he's just not a Chiefs kind of player. He's not an Andy Reid kind of player. He is, I think, at his best, a 50-50 ball guy, a guy that goes up for the ball, that they throw high and they let him be athletic. It's not what the Chiefs want to do. They want to throw the ball to open receivers who have the ability to run. They don't want somebody right on them. They want separation. Speed is what this is about. Who's better, Terence Marshall Jr. or Rashad Bateman? I'm going to go with Bateman right now, and I've only seen both of them live, so I can't say that I've reviewed them yet. Dan's in the process of working on wide receivers now, so he'll have a better opinion, I think, here later. And I think he is going to make it later. So we'll hold that one for him. Throw it again, Spicy, later. Muhammad, how would you see Willie's development progress overall in year 2? I think he's going to have an option. I don't think between Damian and Ben Neiman, I don't think both are going to be back. So I think he is going to be a starter. And I do feel like he progressed some. I think he's still a little haphazard. He's a little out of control sometimes. I think this offseason, having OTAs and study time, that's going to be key for Willie Gay. And if he gets that, I think he's shown that he's capable on the field. And I'll continue to live with a little bit of the rookie mistakes in year 2, even if you're overplaying anything or you're over exuberant or something. I'm okay with that because he didn't get enough reps. I really felt like he was coming on there at the end of the season before he got hurt. And it's a shame that he didn't get to finish it out. Gary, will there be more players overdrafted or underdrafted this year due to COVID-19? Due to COVID-19, I think that lends itself towards underdrafting, if anything. Like this whole discussion about Jamar Chase not being the number 1 wide receiver is ridiculous. No matter what, Jamar Chase is the number 1 receiver in this class. I'll tell you that now, and I don't have to go back and break down his all 22. I can tell you that this second right now, but everyone forgets about him. He's out of mind because he didn't play in 2020, and that's the significant thing. And I don't think that happens for professionals in the league, who've had their boards set up for a while. I do think Jamar Chase is going to be the first guy off the board at the wide receiver position anyway. So overdrafted, the only thing that I would say about overdrafting, like getting someone earlier than they're probably valued at, is the quarterback thing, because they're all going to get pushed up in general. But I think they're going to get pushed up a little bit more this year because there's so much quarterback controversy movement. I don't think it's necessarily because of COVID, though. So a little bit of both on your question there, Gary. Thank you. Metal Rocker, what do you got? Let's see. Is this Dan? Dan might be making it. Let me see. No, evidently not. Dan, I think still will be here. That just wasn't him. Hey there. How goes it? Well, thank you very much. Good to see you, Metal Rocker. First question is, should they go for Zach Collins, Zaven Collins, Jabril Cox, or Levi? Ooh, I like Levi too. I think the best value, the best bang for the buck is Jabril in the second. I think they have a shot at getting him there. I'm not sure about Zaven in the first. I think somebody might take him. I have Zaven slightly ahead of Jabril. They are my number 3 and number 4 linebackers right now. And I have completed 90% of my linebacker review and started on some of the DBs as well. So my board comes out the week of the draft, you guys. I'll have stuff for you before then. We'll talk about it. As you know from last year's process, once I have somebody to tell you about it, I'll start making a stink about it. You know, Diggs certainly lived up to my hype from last season, so I'm sure there'll be another one. But I do like Anzarike. I like his game. I think Zaven's great. I do have a couple of questions about the twitchiness. And I think I will probably still have him right on the edge of where the Chiefs pick, like late first, early second, same as I have for Jabril. Chris, how are you? Thank you. Member question. I appreciate that. Is there a big nasty center available that we could grab? There are a couple of them. People are going to tell you about Landon Dickerson, but I have got him as a 4th round pick because of his injury history. He's had multiple ACLs. He's had multiple ankles. I believe he's had a shoulder. Like, there's just too much. There's another guy, I think it's Hilliard in the linebacker group, that I've taken off my board already because he's just injured too much. And this is me trying to equate for the medical that they do at the combine, and they're going to do at the regionals, and they're going to do at the pro days this year. That I don't have access to the physician's reports for the teams, but I can tell you what the history generally leads to, and that is that once you're hurt that often, it's going to continue. So that's my thought. So Creed Humphrey is one. Who's the other guy that's on my mind right now? I think early day 3, maybe even with the Chiefs comp pick in the 90s, if they get one. I think you could look at Miners, the kid from the Senior Bowl that blew everything up. I think his wrestling background in particular will help him at center. Morbian, how would you rate the Chiefs' need? How would you rate the Chiefs' need for a better offensive line? 1 least, 10 most. I would do it differently than the Chiefs. I will tell you that. The Chiefs will say it's about a 4 or 5. I will tell you that it's a 6 or a 7. I think they are concerned about the tackles, deservedly so. I think there's a lot of questions about not only will they get their veteran guards back, but can they do what they want to do, or do they need to change what they want to do, particularly in the run game, because of the availability of guys. So I think that's going to be an interesting one. I would love it if Osemele could return. Whew, good Lord, I don't know. If he can recover from that, he might have a year or 2 left in him, but don't give him a long-term contract. I'll tell you that. So I have a feeling he'll get hurt again as well. Spicy Quan Alexander, I'm not really in on that. I don't know that a free agent linebacker is going to be in the mix much at all, to tell you the truth, because of cost. It's a position that, with Hitch already on here, I don't think you can afford to spend a whole lot more money at that particular position. So I'm going to say pass. Who's next? Remember, folks, if you do have questions, please throw the question marks at the beginning, like Trev did. I see a lot of people wanting LB in the top 3 rounds. Why would KC prioritize a third linebacker over a third safety big nickel? Because they're the same thing. Most of the time, the Chiefs are in small nickel, little nickel, like I call it, with one linebacker on the field and Dan Sorensen. Dan Sorensen's a free agent. There are a number of linebackers in this class that aren't linebackers at all. They're safeties. Like Koromoa, like Wallow. I just watched him down towards the bottom end of the draft. There are guys that play linebacker here, but they are safeties. They are box safeties. The problem is Dan's unique is that they allow him to play free at the backside of the defense, and they're okay with it. He certainly plays well in the box. That's difficult. And these linebackers that they feel can play nickels, can be a safety or a nickel linebacker, they don't have the free safety experience. So they're not as versatile as Dan Sorensen. So that's a problem. But the difference is going to be because the third safety, I think they have to get more athletic and get more coverage oriented myself. So I think that they feel they can probably get better safety quality lower. Linebackers are thin. After the second, maybe third round, I don't think you have anybody that can help you improve over what you have on the roster right now. So if the Chiefs do want to improve at linebacker, they have to go get talent in the first 5 75 spots, in my opinion, in order to really get an improved player that helps their linebacker core get better. Muhammad, Chiefs are not going to take interior offensive line in the first 2 picks, in his opinion. They just don't value that high. So how deep is the ILL in this particular draft? The interior group is actually pretty deep from what I've seen so far. Dan's farther ahead on it than me. I think Dan's here actually. So I'll let Dan tell you. And how deep is the interior offensive line?
So I think it's a bit deeper than normal, but it's not top heavy. It's a bit more middle heavy where you get more depth at the position and not necessarily a bunch of starting caliber right away guys. There's a couple offensive tackles / interior guys that you can have come in and start right away. But other than that, we have some developmental interior guys that are going to be fun to watch. I haven't gotten to a whole bunch yet, but I can tell from what I've watched that it's definitely more middle heavy.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I think the Chiefs have an opportunity with LDT to get him back in a way that I think he might be better for what they want to do.
Let's hope so.
Knock on wood. Because I agree with you. I don't see top 50 guards. So it's a stretch. That's what we're seeing so far, Muhammad. Gooch, thank you for the super chat as always. Why are we ignoring the best lineman in the draft, Landon Dickerson? It's because he can't walk down the street without breaking something.
He's not wrong. And if the medicals pass, I understand taking him. I'm still a little worried about it.
That's my thing. It seems like he recovers fine, but he continually gets hurt. And Gooch, I know you're partial to him, and I don't blame you. He's a great player. He's nasty as hell, and you better have your head on a swivel when you're playing against him because he will knock you out from nowhere.
He's always looking for somebody.
But then he might not be on the field. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, Gooch. That's my perception.
No, you never really know coming into the NFL if someone's going to continuously have injury issues. Some guys come in and they didn't have any in college. They come in and they have a bunch in the NFL. Sammy was one of those guys. You never know. If they check out, I don't have an issue taking the talent at somewhere around the later 30s if they trade back.
I am perfectly fine with that. Why not? I have completed 90% of the linebackers. I have 3 that I haven't been able to find tape on yet that I do have on my watch list. I'm moving on to the defensive backs. Dan started on tackles. Where are you now?
I've done tackles. I'm still trying to get tape on most of the tackles. I'm still frustrated that I can't get a lot of the tackle tape that I need to finish the class out. And I've done 10, 11, 12 wide receivers, something like that so far. I've done quite a bit of receivers. And I started Terence Marshall today.
That's good because somebody asked a question. I was just going to get back to that. Let's go back. Terence Marshall or Bateman was the question.
That's a fun question because I think both players are pretty similar in a lot of ways. Marshall's a bit bigger and faster. So I personally, right now as I have it, I haven't finished Marshall's tape yet. I've seen some drops that I'm not comfortable with, but again, drops are probably going to happen all over the place. The upside for me right now, I have Marshall over Bateman. So I would take Marshall over Bateman right now. And I know a lot of people like Rashad Bateman. I love Rashad Bateman too. But I think that the upside with the speed and the downhill presence and being able to stretch the field vertically as well as attack underneath that he provides is a little bit more, especially after the catch, than Rashad Bateman can do.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Let's see. Spicy. Have you watched McGrone? I have. And I will tell you this. He comes downhill pretty well. And I know he's a Michigan guy, Dan, so I won't be too harsh on him.
No, you say whatever you got to say. Trust me, I've seen more than enough tape from him from watching.
Okay, you tell me if you've seen something different. Yeah, because you do watch him all the time, don't you? I'm okay with his processing. I think he attacks and is aggressive downhill just fine. I don't trust him in coverage. I don't know that he knows what's going on in
does not know what he's doing.
Okay.
He's still very raw in that aspect. He's got the athleticism and everything that you want to see from a linebacker, but the dude is lost half the time what he's doing.
Yeah. And he's young. He has room to learn. I think his athleticism and his traits against the run give him enough to make a roster.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's anything but a mid day 3 pick, and that's fine. That's where you get your values. So I think that's a good spot for him to come in and learn from somebody. That said, there are a number of different options available that I think are better. And you have to remember, he's not a fit.
No.
He's a Reggie Ragland. He is a attacking run first linebacker that struggles in coverage. That's clearly not what they want. They want cover first linebackers. The interesting thing is there's a couple of guys in here that give you a bit of both, and that's where it gets a little murky. Zaven Collins is one of them. He can do both. I have some questions about the zone stuff for him, but that's fine. So don't take it spicy as a dig on McGrone. I think he has a chance to make a roster and develop.
I would say there's a little difference between someone like him and a Ragland who at this point can't cover. I think that McGrone has everything in the toolbox to be able to. He just has to get the mental side down of what he's seeing and where he needs to be. And that, is really a crapshoot. You don't know how that's going to work out in the next level.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ragland's done at this point.
What's your best in KC?
I've only had one.
Oh, you don't count then.
No, I don't count.
Okay. So I break this into categories, you guys. The best sandwich is Joe's. The best sit-down dinner is Jack Stack. And what was the other one that I used to always say? Oh, and if it's date night and you want fancy, it's Q39. And the story.
Makes a lot of sense based on what I've heard. Because I've been to Q39 a handful of times. But now that we'll be within an hour of Kansas City in the next couple of weeks here, I'm going to be frequenting some barbecue joints.
I'm glad to hear that. Last time I was in town, training camp 2 years ago, I had 7 different barbecue joints, and all I did is I went in and I had burn-ins. That's what I came for. And that's what I did.
Perfect sense.
So, and by the way, Q39s were right up there.
They're good.
And I'm an old sucker for Gates. If you get Gates on a good night, it can top anyone.
I've heard there's not as many good nights anymore.
Not as there was in the 90s, I'll tell you that. Okay, let's see. Brandon, since the Saints have bad cap problems, Quan Alexander's probably going to – would you go for him? Like I said, he's still going to want his money. I would not. Dan, do you have other thoughts?
No, I'm good. I'm kind of lukewarm on Alexander, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's coming down to the end. I'm not sure what he's got left. Do you think if they sign Breezy or Ward back that they move Snead to the outside and use Fenton in the slot? If they only get one back, probably. Because Baker's not going to be ready. I don't think.
And if he is.
Yeah. The scary part is if somebody gives Chavarius a contract, I think they're going to tender him in a second round. He was a UDFA, so there is no there's 3 levels: first round, second round tender, and then original round. He was a UDFA, so there is no original round.
Yeah.
If somebody were to pay him, they could lose him and Breland, and I think that's the scary option. But yeah, Josh, I'm fine with that, and they're comfortable with Fenton in the slot as well.
Yeah, they've shown that pretty regularly.
The Real Rod, what's up, man? Offensive line is obviously number one priority, but does it picking a playmaking position such as wide receiver rank above D-line and linebackers?
Yes.
It has a bigger impact, but it's also not the bigger need. So I think in terms of relative value, if there's a D lineman that's noticeably higher on their board, I think they have to go there before reaching for a wide receiver, quite frankly, like they did with Hardman.
Yeah,
so
that's going to be the thing, though. Is every draft is different. Every run is different. What the Chiefs are going to do at 31 will depend on the run that happens. I think that there's likely to be one of 2 things that comes down near the 20s. Is there either going to be a run on tackles or there's going to be a run on wide receivers. And I think whatever one happens, you're going to find yourself with a good player that drops at 31 on the other side. Because I think that most of the defensive players that you should take in the first round will be gone unless Xavier Collins falls to 31. And I don't necessarily believe that they have to take a defensive player first in the first round. I think that the top end of that draft class for the defensive players will be gone more about by pick 15, pick 20. That's my own personal opinion. And then that's where you're going to have to make your trade-off based on the run that comes from 20 to 31.
I can definitely see that happening. I'm right there with you. Carlos, I'm glad you made it. Steven asks, do you think AJ Green would be a good fit on a friendly deal? No. When was the last time you saw AJ Green stand alone when he wasn't on a practice field? No, he doesn't separate anymore. And they don't throw jump balls. They just don't want to do it. So
that's why people they are getting up in arms about guys like Tylan Wallace and things like that who are jump ball specialists. I can't get behind it for the Chiefs. Like I'll rank them differently based on what they do, but like Seth Williams, Sage Surratt, Tylan Wallace, all these jump ball guys, I can't get behind it. They don't take these guys. They don't.
Yeah. They don't do what the Chiefs offense wants to do. So.
And if they do, they're going to be a totally different shift from what I've seen them do and draft in the last 3 or 4 years. So,
yeah. So, Casey Chiefs asked specifically if Zaven or Nick Bolton are available at 31, would you take one of them, Dan?
If so, which one and overall? So, here's my thing. I'm not taking Nick Bolton in the first round. He's not a first round player. He's really not even close to be honest with you. He's like a third, fourth round player. I don't think he's probably a back end of day 2. Collins, yes, but if there's offensive linemen there that bolster immediately, for example, if they know coming in the draft day they're going to be without Eric Fisher and without Schwartz for 95% of the season, you're taking. If there's a guy like Tevin Jenkins sitting there who has offensive tackle and interior versatility, he's going to be taken. I said this last year that Chiefs wouldn't draft a running back in the first round. Like I said it point blank, but this I 100% believe that they will take a guy like that over a defensive player because you have to address tackle. You have to.
I'm totally with you. Tactics, Dwayne Brown or Jeremy Macklin? No, thanks.
You mean Dwayne Bowe?
I don't know. I'll take neither in any case. I don't care.
Dwayne Bowe at his peak was a monster. Just in a different offense.
Right? Different offense. Daryl Williams will become our starting center. I would love that, Tatum. I haven't seen him since he was drafted. So without being at practice, I have no idea. What's on your Chiefs offseason wish list? JJ Watt at $4 million, Patrick Peterson at 3 yeah, I'll take all the veterans on 1-year contracts under $5 million. No problem.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Right.
I mean, just I'm totally okay going and get a number 2 receiver. Like if you can scrounge some money together by making some different things happen and maybe you convince Allen Robinson to take a ton of money less, like something like that would have to happen in order for them to not take a wide receiver in the first 2 days, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a volume there that, again, is probably middle heavy, not top heavy at the wide receiver class.
Oh, I would disagree with that.
You think there's 10 wide receivers that are first round eligible? Or
no,
first round
I don't think there's 10, but I think that there's a good chunk in the first. There's going to be someone, I think, that dropped to them at 31, and they'll have to make a decision because I think that Bateman, Marshall, possibly a guy like Tony, who I'm actually more lukewarm on now than I was before, but there's going to be a handful of guys that drop into the 30s that, because for me 31 is really basically a second round pick, just like 32 is. I don't value it as a first round pick, so that's really where I stand with that.
I'm with you. I'm just thinking there could be 20 wide receivers on the second day.
Exactly. It's a very so by depth wise, you're probably right. There's better depth on day 2 into day 3. I just think that there's going to be somebody that I have a high grade on that falls to them at 31.
Gotcha. I'm with you. Brandon, thank you for your super chat. I didn't say that out loud before on Quan. I appreciate it. And I missed one from Tactics. Tano couldn't get Josh Allen down and wasn't quick enough for Okafor when he was assaulted by the Bills O-line. He's got to go. Yeah, they're both gone. Okafor, they voided his last year, and Tano's a free agent. Neither will return. I can guarantee you that. Hopefully Taco will. Is someone like Terrell Williams out of the question? He's taller and he does have 4.4 speed. I personally, again, a flyer on a guy that can play the X, that has some decent size and speed, has made some plays, but I question why he's available again.
I know why he's available, because of the injuries.
Right.
Like this is what we got. AJ Green, we got Terrell Williams, now we got Sammy Watkins, guys. A lot of injury-prone receivers are now falling into the free agent market, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thank you, Gooch.
Thank you.
You go rogue as always. I guess I'm getting caught up. Sorry, I got distracted. Daniel Jeremiah had Landon Dickerson going to us, but Thunder Dan's guy was on the board still. I don't know who you mean unless it was Zaven that he talked about last week. And I'm sure Gooch is going to argue that you have to go Dickerson. Again, I just dropped him down to the 3rd or 4th round. I can't remember where he is on my board right now because of the injuries. There's nothing wrong with him as a player.
No,
it's just how many 16-game seasons are you going to get out of him?
Yeah, he's actually a first-round player. Like, he's a legit lock and load first-round center. You take him, you can even play guard if you want him to. So it's all about the medicals.
Exactly, and how available you will be. My social media editor. Okay, that sounds like you're a bot. Well done. I like Zaven. I like particularly that he has done a very good job for a guy that's 6'4", I believe, 6'3" or 4,
something like that. Yeah,
he gets his body down in zone. Like he presents himself as a smaller object, and I think that lets him sneak up on some passes, especially crossers. I think he delivers good zone coverage. I didn't see any man in the 4 games that I saw of him, and that's all the film that I can find. I'm not comfortable with that, quite frankly, as a first rounder. I will have him in the 30s, but I don't think he's going to be above 31 for me.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen a whole lot of him. I just
gotcha. Yeah. Oh, this is one for you. And I just clicked off of it. David Palmer asks, have you looked at Terry from USC?
Yeah. So okay. Terry actually played at Florida State, and I have a big, not really a concern because it's a Florida State player, and what I've seen from Florida State players when they come out from this current program, because it's a terribly, terribly run, coached, everything organization. I feel like a lot of players don't give it their all. And Terry is a guy who did have a season-ending injury. I believe it was last year, not so much this year. But he's got some of the most upside in this entire draft class. And not only is he, like you said, a big body, but he has like 4.4 speed. The guy is a yak. He can do it all in the short game. He can do it all deep down the field. He can block. So obviously, I would love to have him in a later round because I think he's not going to be picked up to the 4th, 5th round like you mentioned here. So it would be ideal if you can get him there. If you aren't thinking about taking a wide receiver earlier, maybe you trade back, pick up some extra picks as well. You can throw a couple darts at wide receiver in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. And Terry's a guy that I like. I really like his film. I'm a little worried about the injury, and that's the reason he's fallen down there.
Fair enough. I haven't looked at him yet, but that makes perfect sense. And a couple people pointed out Florida State as well. Christo Swag, Malik Hooker is the original Landon Dickerson. He can't be trusted to stay healthy. He's not going to be on this roster. John, thanks for asking. I do have a cold. I'm all congested and stuff. And, when you have small children, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gooch, we're with you. I know. No, this is the one I was talking about before. I got to it ahead of time.
We know.
Thank you as always, Gooch. Kevin, we don't need a Chad Henne replacement. He's under contract. He will be the backup. I have no doubt.
I would love to see Tiamo be the backup, though. I'm not gonna lie. I would love it.
Sean, thank you for your super chat. Make sure you come back to us and get us something. So I can answer you a question. I'll keep scanning here. Joe, what front 7 free agent could you see us going after?
Interesting. I mean, I would love. I'm telling you guys, we've talked about JJ Watt a lot. I think that there is some general interest. I think that on both parties, I would imagine. I don't think that he's ever ruled out trying to play with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's faced him a couple times the last few seasons. He knows what he can do. So that's definitely not out of the question for me. And maybe Carl Lawson. I'm not sure though.
Oh, I don't know, man. I'd rather pay Udon on a 2-year contract than that.
I don't know, man. There's not a whole lot of like guys that will come in and be impact players, free agents on the front 7. I think Taco Charlton's probably the best option to bring back and actually get some production out of. Mm-hmm. Ryan had that post on Twitter about a week ago showing you guys that he was productive in his snaps here. So I think that's ideally what they would want to do.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I hope that they do. And I kind of have a feeling they will. John, anybody but Ryder is my thought. And I know what Dan thinks. He's not going to argue. I'm down with that. I don't know if how much he snapped in the last couple of years. I know Andy Heck runs them all through snapping every camp, but I just don't know. I have not looked at Adams yet. Have you, Dan?
Not seen him, no.
Okay. Sorry. Appreciate it, VJ. We'll try to get back to him. Doug, thanks for the super chat. He asks Liam Eichenberg, James Hudson, or Tevin Jenkins. I haven't watched Hudson yet. Have you?
No, Hudson is a definitely more of a developmental guy from Cincinnati, I believe, if that's the same guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Jenkins is the most versatile and probably has the higher upside. Liam has the highest floor. He's going to come in and be a starting tackle like right away, but you're going to get like this much room of improvement out of him. Maybe with Jenkins, you're probably going to have this, and Hudson is definitely a guy you're developing, and if it's the guy that I'm thinking of, he was a defensive tackle at Michigan, then he switched over to offensive tackle, and he played at Cincinnati. And dude is a mauler. Like, he can play, and he's got a lot of physicality. And there's a reason Cincinnati players have this like buzz around them about being physical. That's how they play on both sides of the football. So I'm totally okay with maybe taking a shot at developing Hudson along the road.
Yeah, I dig that idea too. I didn't know about the defensive line part.
If it's the same guy I'm thinking of, that's what he is.
So overall, preview your board. Do you have Jenkins above Eichenberg overall?
Yeah, I do. Just because I value upside a little bit higher, and the versatility he brings, because he can play interior, he can play out tackle as well. So I value that a bit more.
Okay, and I'll probably be the opposite because I want somebody who can slide in and play right now.
He can, but he brings more versatility.
Well, okay. I would say right now Eichenberg's better, but we'll have that argument some other day.
Definitely come in and be better, but again.
Yeah. Only Knives draft a good safety in case Juan is injured and then replace Dan. Any safety that you think fits. I think there's a lot of guys they call linebacker that fit as a box safety. Like I won't show you guys my notes because there's too many cuss words in them. But like 1, 2, 3, not a linebacker, box safety or nickelback at the best. I have that for like 6 dudes in this class. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Safety wise, I haven't broke them down. I started to come off the linebackers. I went to corners. I will tell you, I like what Holland does, and he's pretty good size. I'm trying to check his weight right now. 200 pounds. It's a little under for taking on Dan's role. So I don't know. I will tell you the guy that really stands out to me, and he's had an up and down season, but I think he still has upside in him. That's Jacoby Stevens from LSU.
Yeah. I get that. I like James Wiggins, and we're talking about some Cincinnati guys because James Wiggins is safety out of Cincinnati. He's more of a versatile player. He's about 6 foot 205. I don't know what he measured in at the Senior Bowl. I know he was a redshirt senior coming into this last year. He's got some injury past issues, but he's very versatile. He can play single high. He can play split safety, which they like to do with Sam Sorensen, even though he can't do it. So I mean, I think he's definitely a guy that you can target on probably day 3 and get him in and show him because he's athletic. He's, like I said, he's versatile, physical. So that's something Cincinnati defenders bring. Like, they bring physicality, and it's a day 3 guy you can bring in, and you can get him on special teams early, show him the defense, and see what he can do on some preseason games.
Fair enough. Yeah, I like that. Let's see, where were we going next? Why not? I haven't done many yet, but I will tell you this. In 19, I think Farley was probably over Surtain. Not having played in 20 for Farley is a drawback because I think Surtain cleaned some things up, and right now he's still my CB1.
A guy in our range I think that could be possibly dropping is Newsome out of Northwestern.
I always say TCU. It's
same
colors.
The purple and black. Yeah, he's got some fun tape, and I'm telling you guys right now, that's if you start seeing some corners drop because tackles and wide receivers going off the board, I wouldn't be opposed to them taking a guy like a Newsome at 31.
Fair enough.
I'll say that now.
Yeah, I like that. I'm down. Pie Dessert. No, Ben Neiman cannot replace Dan Sorensen.
He can replace him on the free agent list.
Doctor Who, do you think Honey Badger gets an extension soon? I do, actually. I don't know if it's going to be in the next few weeks or after the draft, but I think they will extend him pretty quickly. Yeah,
I think they kind of want him. He's been an all-pro the last 2 years in this defense. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they brought him in to be a leader. He's become that. And I think for a guy his age, I think he's actually ahead of the curve in terms of longevity. So I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Muhammad, there's a couple of guys. I'd have to take a look at their names again. I do like Tremble, but I think he's a day 2 guy. Late rounds of day 3. The guy that stands out to me is that kid from Georgia. McKitty. Is that his name?
I think so. Sounds about right.
Or the kid from Boston College. No, he'll probably go higher than that. Hunter Long at the end.
I do have one. I found it when I was watching Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss, and his name is Kenny Yeboah. He's a huge guy. Like I think he's like 6'4", 6'5". He's got some speed to the position too. They used him a lot on tight end screens over there. He's athletic. He also can inline block. He's a good run blocker as well. They used him a lot on sniffing. The sniffer position is where he's not attached to the offensive line, but he's like right behind the tackle, and he comes across and blocks that way. So
wham, they call it
the wham block. Yeah. So you've got some speed, you got some size, and you've got hands at the position. I think that he's a guy on day 3, because I haven't seen anyone talk about him. I just happened to see, who was this giant guy running down the field making plays for this offense? And this is how I looked him up. So
I'm glad that you mentioned it. That's how I found L'Jarius Sneed, because I was watching Amik Robertson at the time. That's exactly how that stuff happens.
So it's definitely how a guy that I think they could target on day 3, and especially if you trade back a time or two, you pick up some day 3 picks. He's a guy you can throw a dart at and see what you get. Big body that can block and play, in this offense.
I like it. I think they got to run more too tight next year. I think they need a reliable source at TE2. So, that's what we think so far, Muhammad. Meta Rocker, should the Chiefs look for another wide receiver or move on from Watkins and Robinson, such as Marvin Jones? I don't think a free agent wide receiver is in the cards. I think they do need to move on from both those guys at this point.
Yeah, and I love the idea of having Marvin Jones in this offense. I think that he legitimately could be the guy that makes the offense unstoppable. He's on the field. He doesn't miss games. He's got enough route running ability. He can actually go get the football too. So I would love to see him in this offense. Hopefully, maybe he takes a little bit less money to come play with Patrick Mahomes.
Top 5 coach of all time, Alex? I don't think he's there yet.
If he wins another Super Bowl, he will be.
It's probably right on the edge there, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Granted, I think he's going to be coaching for another, 6-7 years at least. So,
yeah. As far as Spags as a D coordinator in the league, he's in the top 10. I don't know if he cracks the top 5, but I'd say 7 or 8.
Somewhere around there, yeah. That sounds about right.
Okay. Everyone wants J.J. Watt. I think if he could stay healthy, he would have been the best D-line in the NFL. I like the idea, but the truth is he's injury prone. Is it really someone that should go after? Here's the plus. You're right. He's older and he does get injured from time, but he's played 16 games the last 2 seasons, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yes, he is.
And he has Dana to rotate with. He can take some snaps off. He doesn't have to play 1,000 snaps a season anymore. So I will take the diminished. I will play him 75% of the snaps and feel perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, that's exactly what you'd want to do. Put him in a situation that he's comfortable and doesn't have to play all the snaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Gooch, you don't like the Tigers either, huh? I'm glad you guys.
What do you have against the Tigers? What have they ever done to anybody? They suck.
Josh, I have not even seen his name brought up to me.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
You're going to have to point that out in the chat later, man. Let's see. Ryan, who's the best multiple position O-lineman in this draft?
Elijah Vera Tucker, and it's not even close. I think he can legitimately play all 5 positions.
I don't know that he can snap, man. I don't know. Maybe.
I think he could. Like, if you just teach him how to snap, I think he 100% would be like a starting center in the NFL. Now, that's not to say that they're going to do that. And even then, I think he's a starting tackle and a starting interior offensive lineman right now.
I agree with you in both those. It's the center thing. So let's break it into 2. So tackle guard, he's the guy. If it's guard center, who else would you pick?
Oh, it would be Dickerson, because he can play both.
Okay. I think Creed could probably get away playing guard as well.
He can get away with it.
But I don't think he would be as good as Dickerson. I agree with you. So that's where we're at on that one, Gary. Since Mahomes is getting such disrespect, do you think we will see another side of him? I don't know. I wouldn't take it as disrespect. I think you might see another side of Ty Hill next year, though, and I'm kind of down for that.
I really hope so, because the way that I love the way that he handled the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. I think that showed a lot of personal growth, and
100.
None of them wanted to lose that way, and that's going to be a really bad taste in their mouth, and it should be. It's a terrible way to lose in the Super Bowl, just looking like you were unprepared, didn't really want to be there, and just didn't show up.
It was ugly. Let's just say what it was. It was ugly. Brian, we kind of talked about it a little bit before. I think he can be a TE2. I think he's probably a third rounder at this point, in my opinion. I think he's heavy enough to block in line. I think sometimes he takes some snaps off. Now, again, I haven't done his film specifically, but in watching Eichenberg a little bit and watching Notre Dame's offense, because I like Eichenberg's tendency to have to block for Ian Book, who runs around when he doesn't necessarily have to, which reminds me of old PM15. Having that variability at the tackle spot is important. And it also comes in if you're trying to block as a tight end as well. And I think Trevor can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of his tape either, but I know that he's got the upside to be a tight end too.
Yeah. Gooch, thank you again, as always. For comparison, Sammy wasn't hurt in college and injury prone in the pros.
Okay, that was what I said, I think, right?
I thought he missed like 4 games his last year in college. Maybe I was wrong.
But even if he did, he played what, 3 seasons at Clemson?
Yeah,
I think
he was a junior. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if he's coming back, man. I know they want to, but I doubt that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know. The ship may have sailed on that one.
Yeah.
Fair point there, Gooch, though. Appreciate it. Thoughts on Jody Fortson as TE2 this season? He couldn't get to TE4 because they kept Ricky Seals-Jones. And I'm all for Jody Fortson making it. I like the kid, and I think he's got enough upside. Yeah. I think bouncing him back and forth between wide receiver and tight end has set him back. I would love to see him be TE3 this season, though.
That would be ideal. I think that they can – I think the fact that they've brought him back and they switched him positions shows that they want his skill set on the team. So I think they need to get him in a bit more games this year to really see what you have. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Skew up. I like that one. There's as much air raid in this offense as there's ever going to be. This is going to be the West Coast offense that it's always been, with new wrinkles as always. But he doesn't need that. He's proven he can be an MVP in this offense. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, the MVP year he won, Hunt was going to rush for over 1,000 yards. Like, he was going to rush for over 1,000 yards, guys. Yeah. Clyde was on pace before Le'Veon Bell got here to rush for over 1,000 yards. Offensive line injuries happen. Like, they're still going to run the football, and the way that Mahomes passes and the way this offense operates, it's going to allow them to run the ball a little bit more effectively. And I think that they're going to see a little bit more of an uptick in running production, assuming the offensive line gets fixed. But that's not going to take away from Patrick. He's still going to be slinging it. And I think that he's going to be on a different kind of tear next year.
I think he may be too. Johnny asked if you've watched Jalen Darden.
Jalen Darden, no, I have not. Where's
he's asking if he's in the 4th or 5th. I haven't seen him, Johnny. And if Dan hasn't either, we don't have much for you. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't seen his name pop up in my stuff. So if you can link a school down there, I can definitely take a look at a game or two of his.
Dr. Sanitary, I have not seen Ford from Pitt yet. A buddy of mine has told me that I need to watch him. He's on my list, but I haven't gotten there yet.
I've heard a lot of good things about Ford.
I just hope that he brings that same kind of mix that he can play in space, not just in the box.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing about with these, some of these hybrid linebackers and safeties. Like, you need to have the versatility to play both, and I think some of them are kind of losing that. They think they can, but they really can't at the next level. So they got to figure some of that out.
That's fair. I mean, it's always tough. I'm going to look this up real quick because Johnny had another question. There's no trade value for what Noddy does. It's a run-stopping nose tackle, and nobody's trading for him. But I will say that I don't think he's that much against the cap. I'm trying to look for him right now. And I want to say he was 1.7.
That sounds about right. But I don't know the number off the top of my head.
No, not even. He's 1.2 on the cap. He's perfectly fine. Okay. He's one of the cheapest players on that defense. Certainly the cheapest starter. So, yeah, I'm fine with that, Johnny. He's going to be fine. They don't need to trade him. In fact, they need him. They need a pass rusher to come in as well, beyond just Turk, because I think you want Turk and JJ and Frank and Chris all rushing at the same time.
Yeah.
But they need rotation as well. Good question, Morbian. I have never been to Lawnside. I've heard of it. I haven't been to Slaps yet either. And I hear that I have to do that next time I come into town, or my brother's going to not let me in the house. So, how do you like Frank Jones Saunders / Wharton versus Judon Charlton. Do you think they would be a top tier front four? I like the concept, but you're leaving Noddy out. I mean, you need somebody to stop the run because I don't think Mike Pinnell's coming back.
No, and I think that you're kind of assuming Saunders and Wharton both take a step forward. Wharton got worn out down the stretch. That was very obvious. Yeah. He was not used to the level of the amount of playing time he was getting, especially on pass rush situations. So he's got to take that next step forward as well. Saunders has to, actually play this year for that to actually happen. And I don't think Judon is to be on the team. So yeah. Charlton would be my option there, and I like that. So
I would love that rotation, though, especially if you can play a one down.
Yeah.
Stand up three of them. If they did sign Judon, Charlton, Frank, and Chris, I'm down.
Yeah, they would be able to screw with some offensive lines.
Release the hounds. Brian, thank you as always. Don't be disengaged bordering on blasphemy.
I didn't diss it. That's what I heard. I've never even been there.
and I told you I like it. Dang. I'm one of the only people that can say that I like Gates anymore. You don't hear that every day, man. Come on. Oh, we're going to have some. Next member Zoom. We're going to have some arguments. Thank you guys for the mock draft. It's been a blast. I appreciate that, Doug. It was kind of like slappy because my stupid screen recorder bailed on me and the software shut down last week. But if you guys would leave in the regular comments on this video, do you want me to do it live again this week? I know Dan will pre-record his, but I can do mine live. Or should I pre-record it like I did last season? That was my thought, but hey, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'll be doing one for Wednesday, and I think I'm going to get a little crazy with this one, do some out-of-the-box thinking and some trades. It's going to happen. I'm excited about it.
What's in the box?
Exactly.
Any chance of a left tackle rental, and who do you like? I don't think that Fish it'll be back, Fish or Dirty. I can't think of a left tackle in free agency that I'd want to sign even on a 1 year.
Yeah, I can't either because I don't know. I don't have the list in front of my face.
I'm pulling it up right now.
I don't know. Jeez. I hope that they bring Remmers back personally because he's going to be cheap and he, played his butt off at right tackle all season. So I think that he deserves to have a chance to come back and play, assuming that Schwartz won't be there.
I mean, there's two guys out there right now that are under 30. Two guys. In Julian Davenport and Cam Robinson. Everybody else is
Cam Robinson, no.
32 and over.
Yeah, so that's a big no for me.
So no. I mean, everybody wants Trent Williams. I've heard that left and right and over. He's not signing a 1 year, I'll tell you that. This will be his last contract. And I'm not trying to squeeze the last ounces of talent out of him down the stretch. I need somebody younger, faster, quicker, and better able to adapt than even Fish. And he's one of the most athletic tackles in the league.
No.
So no. What's this? What does the Bridge situation about Andy's relationship with the Chiefs? It does nothing. Everyone's stressed out, but I think, if anything, it solidifies their relationship with Andy himself.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about Andy and his family and how he goes forward, but I don't think that comes from the organization. Ah, crap. I just flew past somebody. Shoot. Okay. Got to go back for the super chats. Douglas, I got yours. Got Gooch's. Got Gooch's second one for comparison. Sammy's. Okay. Got that one. Have you seen, and let me see. Is that? Yeah, I went well past it because Longmorn was the next one. Okay, Leon Puga, thank you for your super chat. I'm sorry I can't throw it on the screen right now. But he said, have you seen Spencer Brown, 6'9" Northern Iowa tackle?
Yeah.
Will he be a second or a third?
I think he's going to be a third-round player, and you're still got some development to do. But there's two guys out of the University of Northern Iowa that I really like. One on the defensive tackle side, or defensive end, and one offensive tackle. I think that he's definitely a guy you can target in the third round. If you trade back, I'm not sure they'd be able to get to him at 94, whatever it is that they've got. So they would have to be a little bit further up in the third round to get him. But he's definitely a guy that I like. You've got some athleticism there who can probably come in. It'd be a little work in progress at first, but I think later in the season, once he adapts to the NFL game, I think he would be okay as a starter.
Okay. Folks, we're going to speed it up. We're at an hour. I got another probably 5 minutes or so, so we're going to run through that. We got a couple super chats to hit, but we're going to start with Walker Little, Stanford tackle. I have not even seen him yet. Have you?
I have not. I haven't seen his tape. No.
I'm going to say he's going to be available in the second.
I would imagine he's probably available.
If I haven't heard from him yet, he's going to be available. Jim Murphy, I would take Sammy back on a $3 million 1 year, no problem whatsoever.
The problem, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Muhammad, which in this draft class is the weakest position?
Interesting question.
That is an interesting question. Could it be defensive tackle? Well, that's a good point.
It's quarterback. Outside of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, maybe 4, it's really not very good.
And I'm going to tell you guys this. You're not going to like it, especially those that are draft nicks that are reading all the popular guys. To me, this draft class is Trevor Lawrence and a bunch of Jags. That's it. Just a guy. That's it. That's all everybody else is.
Guy, but I can get everybody else.
Okay. I'm not even convinced on him. I think for the first time in a long time, I don't feel like there's anybody that I would even take in the second round right now.
I would take Trey Lance in the second round, but
yeah, okay.
I watched him when I was scouting the tackle. I did not like his tape very much at all.
I can't say I blame you. For the reference, folks, Jag means just a guy. Wyatt Davis. I haven't watched him.
Yes, watched Wyatt Davis. He did just get hurt at the end of the season, and that's going to be something you have to monitor. But he's one of the top 3 interior guys at guard in this draft in my position, like specific guard. That's all he can play. So if they could get him, if they did draft him, he's going to be a guy that can play guard as a starter, assuming he's healthy coming into next season.
Yeah. Fair enough. We're going to speed a couple of these. I don't know if it's 50-50, Josh, if Dan Sorensen comes back. Juan Thornhill will not fill his spot. Warren needs to be at the back of the defense. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with Rashad Fenton for not having the athletic scores that I would like in terms of deep speed. Same thing with DeAndre Baker, by the way. The two of them are right next to each other in terms of the last 7 draft classes in athleticism. So they clearly make up for that with nasty press and aggressiveness in their technique, and that is the trade-off. So, Doug, thank you very much. Thank you to you, Dan.
Thank you.
Glad you're enjoying it. I'd love to tell you we're going to stop, but we're not.
Nope. It's going full bore, guys. We just got started, and it's going to keep going.
Ben Engels, I'm glad you brought this up. I thought this earlier this season. I would like to see let Wharton be that big end.
That'd be interesting.
I think it'd be fun. Longmorn, Quinn Minor in the late round. Here's the thing: he's not going to be in the late round. I think he's going to be in the top 100.
Oh, I don't.
You don't? I think he is.
I don't. I think he's going to be a 4th round pick.
I'm fine with that. I'll take him at the last pick of the 3rd round and be perfectly comfortable with it.
If he lasts to the Chiefs in the 3rd round and they haven't taken like an interior player, you take him. You take him and you run away. You run up to the board now.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Laddie, I don't think Ryder will be back myself. Every time I say that, they go the other way. So
I'm just going to go ahead and get myself prepared. He'll be back next year, just so I'm ready for it.
Okay, good job. Way to think ahead. I like that. Chris, what do you think of Von Milling coming here? If they release him and Von wants to play cheap just like JJ, I'll put him on the same line. JJ can play tackle.
Yep, exactly. Put JJ back inside and get Von outside. Guess what, guys? They're going to be sacks for days. They're just going to be continuously getting sacks.
It's all about the cap, you guys. If he's willing to play for a $5 million contract for a year, done. Sure. Yep. I'll take it. I'll take anybody with that kind of resume. It's just that I think Von's going to want another contract. I know he's older, but I still feel like he feels he has longevity for a 3-year contract or more, and I just don't think the Chiefs can afford that. Good point, Aaron. If you guys want to see the behind the scenes or the extra videos that aren't really for public consumption, there's cussing and stuff in them, so they're not like for kids or who might be watching or anything else. There's different levels of the memberships. For those of you that are draft picks right now, you get all the chat stuff, and then the next one up is the rookies. That's where you start to get the videos and the Zooms and that all kinds of stuff. So go check those out if you feel like it. Jeff made it. Nice. I like that. Just a drive-by for me. I like it. Well done, dude. Thanks for showing up. But you had a question, though. Will the COVID guys be back in 2021? LDT says he's going to. We haven't heard. I haven't seen or heard anything from Damien, and I believe the consensus is that Yang will be available.
Yeah, I would imagine Oliver back next year, too.
John, if I didn't, go ahead and throw it in here again. I'll try to circle back to it. Let's see. We covered Alshon Jeffrey. Not interested.
Oof.
Doug, you're right. I will take Alshon or Jabril.
Yeah.
Longmorn, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it very much. Minor supposed to go take a look. Yes.
Yes.
He was impossible to miss at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is I went and I have the film. I have the 22 from the Senior Bowl. They were not hyping him up. He was beating everyone. For a guy who didn't take center snaps in the game, he started practicing center this year while he opted out. It comes from a wrestling background. I'm perfectly capable of projecting that he'll be able to adapt to the game. At the very worst, you can put him back at guard, and I think he'll be fine.
He was making Division I Power 5 guys look like they were bad. Like, he was really good.
Yeah. Thank you, Longmorn. Okay, John, I was asking with our picks, do you like the idea of drafting a center first? There is no center in this draft right now that I would take over one of the top 5 tackles. Yeah. But if they're all gone, then it's all relative. And you guys will see my big board the week before it comes out. Everybody will be stacked, not only by their position, but by their round. And if everybody else is off the board, I could see going center.
Yeah, I could.
It's highly unlikely. I usually have somewhere between 18 and 24 first round grades. I don't know. It's and I do my best to match what I think, not necessarily what the Chiefs think. And so their board will be different than mine. There's no way around that. Josh, do you think Pringle will play more? I think we both hope so.
Yeah. Can only hope.
Yeah. Let's see. Michael Walker Little. Yep, we talked about him. We haven't watched him yet. We will. I think Stanford gets overlooked just in general, to tell you the truth. Laddie, that's a good question. I really don't think that there's much to be gained in the free agent class on the offensive line. At least as it stands right now, there's going to be cap casualties. So there's a lot coming that I don't think are here yet. Maybe we'll see something.
That second wave of free agency is going to be where people make their moves.
Yeah. Hunter asked, my stepdad was Zaven's head coach in high school. And I'll tell you what, he praises Zaven as one of the smartest players he's coached. That's important. Would the Chiefs trade up for him? I don't think the Chiefs will trade up for anything but an all-world wide receiver, Jalen Waddle. I don't see him trading up, to tell you the truth. If anything, I see them trading back.
I'd love for them to trade back, but Brett Veech is an aggressive guy.
He is, and that's what it comes down to. Is they got lucky because the guy that they fell for, and let's be honest, I mentioned this earlier in the show. Brett Veech is not a best player available guy. Brett Veech falls for guys. Yep. And then he shows them to Andy, and then they all fall for guys. That's why Clyde is here. That's why Breland Speaks was on this roster for too long.
That's why McCall Hardeman's on this team, I think.
And those two guys show you the double-edged sword of that. You have Clyde, who I think actually outplayed my expectation for him, even as the 32nd pick. And then you have Speaks. So let's not play around that this is not influenced by what you like to see, because it is.
That's why wide receiver is always up there for me and for this team.
But Hunter, I would love to talk to your stepdad about Zaven in particular. So if you could set that up, you hit me if you hit the about page on RGR, you can find my email address. Send me something. I would like to get a little background on him because I think he could definitely work here. Couple more. Marquez Stevenson out of Houston. He is a sleeper no more, I don't think.
I was about to say, I've heard his name pop up quite a bit, so I don't think he's any more sleeping. None of them people are sleeping on him anymore.
Mr. Gooch dropping the bomb. Thank you. 20 burgers go down very nicely. I appreciate that. Let's see what he has to say, though. Are we understating the COVID effect on the NFL with the cap dropping? Could some of these premier talents take a cheap one-year deal to chase a ring with Mahomes and get a larger contract when the cap goes up big next year? And I think you are right. It will go up big next year. I think it all depends on whether they can see the edge of the cliff or not.
Yeah.
Like I think Von Miller's closer to the end of his career than JJ is, to tell you the truth. Even though I think in terms of like percentage-wise, I think Von's actually playing at a higher percentage. I think JJ's he's been hurt over the years. I think he can muddle through and still be fairly productive a little bit longer, in my opinion.
I would still take Von to outplay Watt over the next 5 years. But yeah, it's a very good point that you bring up, because I think that what we're seeing, especially with guys who are going to get cut who maybe don't deserve to be cut, but because they're going to have to be due to the cap casualties and stuff like that, you're probably going to see a larger amount of 1-year deals just to get to next year where everyone can then get those longer term deals. So that's an interesting point you bring up, and I think that's very valid, especially considering what we just witnessed and what we have yet to see with the cuts. So once we see how many of those start to ring off of teams, then I think we can start to get an idea of exactly what players are going to be more interested in taking that kind of a comp,
Yeah. Oh, the only part about that's a hard pill to swallow is when you have a 1-year contract, everything counts against the cap.
Yep.
There is no way to defer anything or spread anything out. So that becomes problematic sometimes. We'll see how far the Chiefs get under. And I think if they do everything, they could get 30 million under if they want.
Yeah, they could.
Just a thought. Thanks, Gooch, as always. What are your thoughts on Long and Gray? Long, I don't think will last terribly long. I think he'll probably be a day 2 guy. I don't know Gray.
I haven't heard of Noah Gray.
Okay. Well, at least I feel better when you say that. Laddie, he'll be with the Chiefs or he'll be nowhere unless they decide to release him because they do have his rights. He's under contract. I just don't have a medical update on his mother or if he feels like that. So, Opie, yeah, Breland Speaks is long gone.
I think he was on the Raiders practice squad last year, if I remember correctly.
He was, and he got released from there too. So yeah it's long over. Muhammad, I don't think there's going to be trade value for Damian just because of his age. He sat out and he's on his last year of a deal. That's just not going to happen. Let's see.
Good compliment for Clyde, guys. He should be on the team next year if he plays. He's a good compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm fine with that one. Muhammad, what happened to Wharton later in the year? He hit the rookie wall, and quite frankly, he stopped adapting. He got as far as he could in one season. I think he did a hell of a job.
Yep.
But he needs to learn counters. He needs to have a second thing that he can do. Am I wrong, Dan?
No, that's exactly what we talked about earlier. He got to the point where, one, I think he got a little bit tired, and he just needs to start building on his counter. Like you said, his counters, his moves, his handwork and his quickness are all there. So now he has to just start adapting it more to when this doesn't work, you go directly to something else.
Yeah, I'm with you. Opie, thank you. Aaron, thank you very much. It's a very good point. If y'all even don't want to listen to a podcast, you just want to leave a 5-star review, I'll always take them. That always helps. Why Not says watch Trill Williams. I don't know who he is.
Nope.
Holly, thank you for your super chat. We appreciate it very much. No question, just appreciate it. Well, thank you. Better than therapy. Let's not go there.
I'll take it. Thank you very much.
I'll make more problems than I solve, I'm pretty sure. So, and thank you, Aaron, for reminding me. Yes, if anybody wants to help the channel, you can always buy RGR gear. That does help us significantly. But thank you all for those super chats, as well as Gooch, because I think he's just bored.
What blasphemy are we talking about here?
Can't wait for the Zoom. This blasphemy must be addressed. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. You have the doc on standby, okay? It's going to be an interesting discussion. Why did they not put Colin Saunders in? Wharton beat him out. Brian Case, are you kidding me? Brian Case from college? Really? If that's you, then it's nice to see you again. It's only been 25 years. Do you think the Chiefs could sign Alex Smith and help Mahomes become, if he becomes available? I'd love to see him be a coach, but not as a player.
Not even close to as a player, guys.
Jake, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see. No, video this week. Zoom meeting will be in 2 weeks for the members. All pros and elites. That'll be you guys. And we have a couple of new ones, so be prepared. New voices. Jake, welcome back to the memberships. Glad to see you here. Guys, I think we'll end on this one. There seems to be several of them, and I'm not going to go much deeper. We're well over time. Justin Houston's not coming back. If he did, Justin Houston's not what he was. I think they did get the last couple ounces out of him in Indianapolis. And quite frankly, I think he burned some bridges. That's a nice way to put it, in my opinion. Dan, do you have anything else?
Since the coaching staff is largely different in terms of the defensive coaching staff that he was here, if he's willing to, basically come in and be like a pass rush specialist and just only play pass rush downs, knowing he's going to take a smaller contract, I'm all for it. 100% bring him back. Hopefully he retires as a Chief because I think that's where he should retire, to be completely honest with you.
I'm with you. 2 more comments. They're not really questions, I don't think. But Cody, thanks for this one. Jabril's brother plays for NDSU right now. Okay, cool. I like that. And that's the thing that I'm so big on Jabril for. He went from that level to LSU, and quite frankly, I didn't see him miss much of the beat. I think he still got upside ahead of him. He played and looked like his brother. That's awesome to hear. I will keep an eye on him as well. And then the last one, and I think this is interesting for you and I. Do you think the Chiefs would have won Super Bowl 55 if they had Fisher and Schwartz? And I say resoundingly
1,000% yes, because the game plan would have allowed them to run the football. Yes. They wouldn't have been so afraid to run the football.
And not even that, upon watching the All-22, if they had 3 seconds, 3.25 seconds every down, guys did get open. Patrick was just running for his life by then and couldn't deliver the ball.
Byron Pringle got open a lot in this game, guys. A lot in this game. We got overlooked because Mahomes was running for his life.
Yeah, and quite frankly, when Mahomes does that, I will say one thing that Patrick should be looking on. Patrick, I hope you're watching. Congratulations on the baby. Look at the third receiver, not Kelsey and Hill in that situation, because there were guys that were open, but it's just, I think it's natural tendency because those are the primary routes that are drawing what that play is for. Yeah. It's just, I think it's a little bit of, hey, I'm looking to make a big play all the time.
Yep. And defenses let them do it all year. Yeah. That's why Kelsey and Hill still were over 100 yards in every playoff game that they played up until the Super Bowl. Even Kelsey still went over 100 yards. So because defenses didn't adjust, they did in that game, and then just things just went haywire from there.
If they had adjusted and you had your O-line, I think they would have won.
Yeah.
If they O-line was what it was and they hadn't played that deep coverage, I think the Chiefs would have won. It was a perfect storm of those two concepts working out for them. So, and Cody, thanks for that one. I didn't realize Jabril Cox was from KC. That's kind of nice. Well, that's going to change the story. Don't let that out too much, but we're going to call it there, you guys. Thank you for all. Hit the like and the sub and the bell notification for all you newbies. Dan's going to have a mock. I have a first draft or first take video tomorrow. And then we'll do the live mock, I think, on Thursday, just so I don't have to try and smash my computer again and it won't record. So thank you all for tonight. It's been great. For all you super chatters, thank you very much. You members, I'll have a video for you tomorrow, and you can watch Dan and Gooch fight a week from tomorrow. And we'll go through that. But I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for watching tonight and everything that you do for us. We'll keep doing this for you. Have a good night. We'll talk to you next time.